probably like, where are we? Where are we? Okay. Need to get the. Trying to get that chat open. I can probably see you. My chat's not wanting to open. That's not a good thing. There we go. Taking forever. Chat. Let's see if we got anything going on here. For some reason the chat's not wanting to open, but I can still get the chat from this other side.
Yeah, I can see chat on my side.
You can see it on your side?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same chat you have, but I've got chat open.
Yeah, it's not the same. For some reason, if you can see the chat, you may have to field the questions, Bill, because I'm not seeing.
I mean, it says group. It says group chat. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, I got it on another screen, so I've got two things going here, so I can answer it. But just kind of seeing people come into this room, but
I mean, I don't see any activity on it at all.
No, you won't right away. Well, anyway, guys, we're gonna get started with ProSeller Talk. My name is John Bullard. I have with me today Kimberly and Bill. Both of these work for InventoryLab. Real excited to have them on here, especially in fourth quarter. I know we have a lot of questions, and hopefully we'll get questions if the chat gets going to be able to answer, to be able to ask them, because they're here to explain how InventoryLab works and how it can be effective to work with InventoryLab and a prep center. Hi guys, welcome. You guys want to just introduce yourselves and tell the audience a little bit about you?
Sure. My name is Kimberly McCaffrey. I'm the Customer Learning and Development Coordinator at InventoryLab. I've been at the company now for 1 year, actually this week, so I'm really excited to celebrate that anniversary. I've been a seller on eBay since really early 2004-ish, and I've been selling on Amazon, joined the Amazon seller community back in early 2015. Originally, my profession was rooted in the nonprofit sector and really used e-commerce to generate additional income, and just became familiar with InventoryLab. I was really excited to join their team. So we're really happy to be here.
Hi, and I'm Bill. I work quality assurance with InventoryLab. I've been a seller since late 2014. I've used a couple of prep centers since then. So hopefully we can answer some of your questions about InventoryLab and whatever else you may want to talk about.
Really trying to figure out why this chat's not working for me. It's like ever since I rebooted, the chat just kind of like went away on me. That's not a good. That's not a good thing. But let's see, guys. If you have any questions, this is a Q&A type webinar. So if you guys have any questions for Kimberly or Bill, please post them in the chat, and we'll try to get to those questions and answer them as soon as we can. See. Okay. So Kimberly, you said you've been with InventoryLab for about a year now?
That's right.
And explain a little bit about InventoryLab and what they do for the clients as far as the back end of the, I know it's a little bit different than the prep side of it, but what you guys actually do for sellers so we can understand the process.
Sure. So InventoryLab, we are very focused on increasing the efficiency of Amazon sellers in their business workflow. And we really support them through the entire product life cycle. So we're supporting them from their research and when they're sourcing inventory with our Scoutify mobile app, with our Scout web-based app, which is actually inside of the larger InventoryLab company and application. we're able to list items, you're printing labels as you list each item, your inventory management, your accounting, your reports, your analysis, everything from beginning to end. You can capture all of your expenses, whether it's mileage or any other kind of monthly expenses or single occurring expenses are all able to be captured so that when you're able to view your profitability, you know exactly how profitable your business is.
That sounds great. What else do you guys do as far as the back end? I know that you guys recently added the box content for the sellers also. And how is that going for you guys? I mean, I know we're having a lot of, Amazon just keeps adding things and changing things and making it more difficult all the time, even with that box content thing. I mean, bringing it on in fourth quarter was one of their brainchilds that they like to do. They seem to always want to bring things on in fourth quarter. What kind of challenges are you guys finding with that so that maybe the viewers can understand and be able to help your process a lot better also?
Sure. We're really proud of what we were able to come up with over this last year, even year and a half. We've really put together this fantastic team of designers and developers and quality assurance analysts, and everybody really put their heads together. And what we were able to roll out is the ability to enter box content information within the application. So you're not leaving InventoryLab to go somewhere else to do that. Originally, we were really partnered and working side by side with Amazon folks to make sure that everything was going to be very complementary to each other. And originally, when we built the feature, we built it for folks to be able to name their own boxes and really kind of, again, increase the efficiency of their workflow. But when it came down to the wire and we were ready to kind of roll it out, Amazon kind of said, well, we can't, get that box name, so you're going to have to do something different. So we have that kind of waiting in the wings, the ability to name a box, but we have built that in, and we're really excited to be currently working on, and we'll be hopefully rolling out relatively soon, the ability to scan FNSKU labels as well. So not just manually assigning inventory to boxes, but just, zapping barcodes and getting inventory out the door. Speak to anything about any issues that we had with any changes that Amazon has brought up? I don't feel like we've really hit any walls so far after the fact.
Were you talking to me, Kim? Because you broke up. I didn't hear the whole question. Sorry.
So John was kind of asking, that there have been changes on Amazon's side since box content has been required, that they've kind of hit some glitches trying to navigate through the changes that Amazon has implemented. I don't feel like we've hit any walls with any changes recently. Do you know of anything or any issues we've had with Amazon updates?
No, not so much. I mean, other than what you mentioned with the box names and things like that. I mean, there's other things that we're doing, of course, that we can't talk about that we're doing, but the API definitely, as everybody knows, has some limitations. So we're trying to work through some of those limitations to make things even better.
All right, I got my chat back open. So explain some of the things if somebody
Oh, we lost you, John.
the
Oh, there you are.
InventoryLab. How do they go about trying to work with InventoryLab? What are some of the things? And then we're going to go into the prepping in a little bit more, but explain to someone that's on here that maybe is interesting about finding out more about InventoryLab and how.
You lost your sound, John.
You broke up a bit. I heard kind of learning about if somebody wants to learn more about InventoryLab and just getting to know the application, or in collaboration with.
No, just as InventoryLab in general, and then we'll go into the prep center part of it after. But explain if somebody is on here and they're wanting to watch this, or they're going to watch the replay, and they want to know a little bit about InventoryLab and they're new, and how do they go about finding out about you guys, and also finding out benefits of why your lab. I believe having that service. We use InventoryLab, so I know what it does. I know the benefits of having it, but the benefits for a new seller coming in to be able to use InventoryLab.
Sure. So we offer a free 30-day trial. We want everybody to use the free 30-day trial. I personally think it's right for everybody, but we want you to learn that for yourself. So we make that available. We invite you to go to our website, InventoryLab.com. We have different videos that are posted there, but we also have our support portal, support.inventorylab.com. You can view webinars and tutorials and take a look at our user guide and really kind of get a feel. That's really what that 30-day trial is about. We want you to get a feel for how this can fit into a workflow. We've made a lot of new additions to really walk with our customers through this process, especially that 30-day trial. Amazon sellers really kind of get locked into a workflow that works for them, and to try something else out, especially this time of year, can seem a little bit overwhelming, tedious, scary for some even. So we have webinars that we're hosting every week, usually every week, at least several times per month. We're hosting these webinars where it's a full virtual tour of the application, all of the products, Scoutify, all the way through to reports. And then we're having a Q&A with a live demo. It's myself, and sometimes Bill is in there. My colleague Jeff, we're usually kind of in there fielding questions. We just really like that opportunity to connect with people, hear their questions, and demonstrate the answer. We really want to expedite that learning process for them. But we really invite people to take advantage of that 30-day trial. They sign up, they connect InventoryLab with their Seller Central account. We're going to import all of their inventory for them. We're going to import 60 days of sales data for them. And they're going to be able to then start really kind of seeing how that great data that's driven, and get to those reports and see what's profitable and see what's working for their business. And really the luxury of, listing outside of Seller Central, not listing everything and then printing out labels on a 30-up sheet, but labels that are printing out while you list each item, and really getting a sense of what a huge time saver that is. I call it a luxury because that's what I kind of exclaimed the first time I had a label print out, the first time I listed an item. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so luxurious. It's really, we put a lot of effort into just supporting the Amazon seller community. We're always evolving, we're always changing, we're always looking for ways to improve. We have a team of people that are very focused and very committed to that goal. We believe in what Amazon sellers are doing in the e-commerce community. It's a courageous group of people, and we're kind of honored to work and walk with them through that.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that too, is I started out using InventoryLab before I became an employee of InventoryLab. So I started out like a lot of folks. You use a spreadsheet, you track the things you buy, and all of a sudden it becomes overwhelming, because now instead of 10 products you're selling, you've come back from the store and you've got another 20, and then you've got another 20 and another 5, and so on. And it just keeps building and building until you've got, 130 or 40 or 50 or 200 lines on your spreadsheet, and you're trying to track prices and you're trying to adjust prices. It's just not there. And at some point you have to make a decision. When do I need to automate this? And if it gets to be too much for you, that's when you need to do it. When you'll know the time. It's just like, when you ask somebody, how do you know if you're in love? Well, you'll know it. Well, same thing with InventoryLab and with sourcing and everything else. When you're overwhelmed, you'll know it, and you'll need to get something to automate your process. So InventoryLab was it for me. I looked around, and that's what I chose. So it makes it so much easier, as Kim said. You don't have to go in through inventory or through Seller Central. You don't have to go through all the multiple screens. You don't have to do all these things. You just go to one page in InventoryLab. You enter your information, hit submit, enter the next one. Just keep going. The next thing you know, you've got a shipment created. You go into Seller Central. If you don't have a Dymo label printer or a Brother label printer, whichever you choose, you go into Seller Central, print your 30-up labels. And I did that for several months before I could justify myself getting a Dymo label printer. And then when I did it, I told myself, just like you probably heard everybody else say, why didn't I do that sooner? I could have spent the 50 or 60 bucks, whatever it costs for a Dymo printer, and made my life so much easier. Anyway, so that's kind of it in a nutshell for me. But and I've still even though I'm still working for InventoryLab, I still do a little bit of selling. My wife and I went to a German store, German restaurant, and they had a little store on the side. And I had my Scoutify app on my phone. I walked into the store while my wife's looking for some little on-spot chocolates and things like that. And I'm scanning some things, and lo and behold, what did I find? I'm not going to tell you.
Oh.
So anyway, I bought 20 of them and I brought them home. And this morning about 5:30, I scanned them all in and got them set up, and I sent them off to the post office today. So, UPS. So yeah, it works. I mean, it's quick. You don't have to worry about it. It took me all of probably 10 minutes to list those 20 things, and I was done.
So InventoryLab is a great tool or a great service that's going to help you grow your business, because of the fact that you're now allowing someone else to do that back end to make it easier for you, and it gives you more time to be able to do other things. That's what we find out with InventoryLab. And also InventoryLab losses. I mean, there's a lot of different charts in there that you guys have that are real crucial for a seller to be able to understand their business. John Jr. does most of it, so I'm not familiar with a lot of your back end stuff, but I think that you guys, have a lot of different neat features in there. One of them, I think, is you even have something in there that's replenishable, right? Where they can feature.
Right. Yeah. So if you've got something that you replenish, you put in the ASIN, scan it, scan the barcode, whatever, it'll come up and it'll say, oh, hey, you've sold this before. This is the price you sold it at. This is the MSKU you used. Do you want to use this MSKU or do you want to use a new MSKU? Well, obviously you probably want to use the same one. So you say use, it throws in the price, the date you bought it, how much it was, all that, and you're off.
And it also gives you the ability to capture that multiple buy cost. If you went in with a coupon, or if your supplier gave you a better deal, you're able to capture that multiple buy cost too, which is really important accounting data to capture.
Yep. And then we've also got things like a profit and loss statement. Definitely. You've got also an inventory valuation report, which is going to come in really handy at the end of the year. Category profitability reports, ASIN profitability reports. Just all kinds of reports.
That's where I always seem to get on like a soapbox and sing the praises of InventoryLab when we're talking about profitability and profit and loss. Like I said, I came from this background in nonprofit, and so I was hustling, just trying to generate additional income and trying to make that work. And I didn't know if I was profitable. I knew money was going out and money was coming in, but I didn't know, and I was frustrated, discouraged, and I lacked a lot of confidence. But having that ability to plug in everything, not just what I sold and what I bought, but my mileage, what I pay my accountant, if I have an employee, if I have teams, whatever expense comes up, I'm able to plug that in. So when I pull up that profit and loss report, I can look at that and I can see that bottom right-hand corner, that net profit, that number, and know exactly how profitable I am. Not waiting for an invoice to come in, not going out to the van to get the pad of paper with my mileage or the app on my phone that I never remember or track. There's really something that comes from this sense of knowing exactly how profitable you are. But those profitability reports that Bill was talking about, you're able to view profitability 4 different ways: by SKU, ASIN, category, and supplier. Cannot share and talk about enough about the fact that when people take a look at that, when they get all this information plugged in, their buy costs, they take a look at that and they're surprised. Usually category profitability and supplier. They feel like they're very strong in one category. Maybe because they sell a larger quantity in a certain category, but when they go back and they take a look at the ROI percentage and the net profit percentage, they find that there is another category that's really carrying them throughout the entire year. And the thought behind that is to say, well, let me go look, what am I selling in that category that's doing so well? Let me take a look at that. Let me go over to my SKU profitability report, narrow that down, and then going over to my supplier profitability, which is another area that people are usually pretty surprised. They feel like they're selling a lot with one, but that ROI percentage is a totally better number with another. And going to that supplier and say, hey, I want to sell more of this. Could you help me? I want to get that from you instead of somebody else. together and looking at the intersections of all of it and shifting some energy and some revenue over to maybe a different category, just a little bit of more focus towards a different supplier, and seeing what you can do with it and start to really kind of build that growth. When, everybody's like really excited all the time about labels and kind of like the bells and whistles like on that side of it. And reports they're not very exciting. They're not like a real sexy feature, but there's a lot of power that comes from knowing how robust is your business and being able to see that day after day. You make different inventory decisions. You start to see growth when you utilize that information.
Yeah, and one more report too that I use, in fact, I'm getting ready to use it here next month, is the sales tax report. Every quarter, my accountant sends me a little email, hey, it's time for the, whatever quarter sales tax report. I just go into InventoryLab, click sales tax report, click on what quarter it is, print it out, save it to a PDF and email it to her, and I'm done.
Well, why don't you add her as a sub-account, Bill?
No.
Yeah, my son does.
She's too busy and too expensive for me.
Yeah. John does that too. He runs those sales tax reports quarterly and gives it to our accountant, and those are just a great report to be able to just hand it over to your accountant. Right. I've been sending to people lately, and they come in here and ask me, and I give referrals to you guys. And I know one of our clients, she's a huge client, and I told her she needs to get her profit and loss thing in line, and she actually joined you guys not too long ago, and she came back and wrote me a thing and thanked me up and down, but she was also upset because of the reports that you were able to show her. She was losing money when she thought she was making money. And what she was doing is she was trying to stay with the buy box people and keep those prices down low where it needed to be. And she found out by doing that it was costing her more when she ran those reports. But she was happy because she was able to find something out that she didn't know. Right. So those reports that you guys have are real valuable as far as what's in them and the details and the information. And I think anybody that's out there who's trying to get a handle on their business really needs to know that profit and loss type stuff, and they don't, because they don't account for a lot of the things. They don't account for a prep and ship company. They don't account for not only when they're buying it, but Amazon's fees to get it into the warehouse, and the fees that it's going to take to for the bagging, the bubbling, all those type of things, the boxing to the box costs and all that. They don't take any of that into consideration. Where when they run the reports through InventoryLab, it just breaks a lot of that down for them, and that's what I find that is the most valuable thing. Is it gives them peace of mind to be able to know that these things are doing the work for them. They don't have to be second guessing anything. It just runs those reports. So, Bill, let's talk a little bit about. We have lots of clients that from InventoryLab that are in our prep center. And the biggest thing about a prep center and InventoryLab, I think, is the communication of they're asking us questions about what we can do inside of InventoryLab that we can't answer. And so being that you've used prep centers, how do you go about answering those questions for those clients? Or how can it ease our ability and make us sound like we're more intelligent for working with you as a partner versus trying to just send them back? Because we don't want to constantly feed them to you. We'd rather answer some of those things and defer that so that you're not constantly bombarded with things that maybe as partners in this, we work together type of deal.
Yeah, so, I mean, when you're using a prep center, the main thing is you say, well, how do they print my labels? How do they know what I'm doing? You're basically listing everything. Well, let me back up. First off, InventoryLab will allow you to have 2 sub-accounts off of your main account. So you could, if you have a service that does this, you could give a sub-account to your prep service. Give them access to the list portion of InventoryLab. They could then list the product for you as it comes in. That would save you a lot of time. Once that's done and they list, they can print the labels for you. They can, all of that, just like if you were doing it in your home. So you send them the product, they would list it. If they don't have that capability, or you don't want to give them that capability, then you would list all the products, let the prep center know what your shipment name is for them to run. You go in Seller Central. There's different ways, different people do it different ways, so depending on the prep center you're using. Okay, so there might be a prep center that says, hey, when you're done, upload your information to a spreadsheet for us, you know, with Google Drive or whatever, and then
Like a flat file?
I'm sorry?
Like a flat file?
Yeah, right. So then what they'll do is they'll take that information, they will pack everything based on that flat file. Then I've had them email me back and said, okay, we've got all your stuff packed, now we need the labels. So what I would have to do is go into Seller Central, print the labels, and as everybody knows, you save it as a PDF on your computer. I would then email that PDF to them. They would then slap those labels on the boxes. So it just kind of depends on which way you're going.
So for someone like us, where you're talking about that back and forth email type thing, when you have that back and forth email type thing, there's a lag time there too, because we may be more ready than they are. We could actually say, hey, we're ready for labels, but now as the prep center, we're waiting on them to get the information so we can print the labels, or we're waiting on information to be able to get the or whatever you have it. So with our software, none of that happens. So how does that work, InventoryLab, as far as with our software, when they bring us the flat file, can they enter all the information that they need to, and then up until the point where it's listed, and they don't have to worry about the labeling, the box count, and all that, because we do that on our end? Are they able to do everything up until that point, and then we just take it, so there's no back and forth?
Right. So, I mean, ideally, it would be you log into their account with a sub-account, but you don't do that. You have your own software.
Right.
But if they're doing it, they would basically, or excuse me, the prep center would log in as a sub-account, and then their Dymo printer would print out the labels. They would label the things. They would then ship it off, putting the labels on the boxes.
That's if they're doing it, but if it's going through the software.
Yeah, John, I'm not familiar with how your operation or your software works, and I apologize, but so in some form or fashion, whether you email the PDF to the prep center, or you give them access to your Amazon account, which you can do. You can limit their access to your Amazon account.
Right.
Then they can go in and print the labels that way as well, the shipping labels.
Yeah, the prep center can.
Right.
Yeah, when you give them limited access to the backer, you can. We don't do any of that. We don't have any access to their account whatsoever, other than the API that Amazon provides to get into the back end. We don't go in and with any user permission or anything like that. It's just through the API. And that's where from the clients that come over from InventoryLab, because they're asking us stuff, and basically all I think I need to know is how they're going in, listing it into InventoryLab, and then once they get to a certain point, whether they do it through PDF email format or they send it over to us through the MSKUs. Can they carry the MSKUs from InventoryLab into our software base? In other words, they just carry whatever's in InventoryLab, I guess, over into our software. And as soon as they all they got to do is put that MSKU in, over. So it must tie into InventoryLab some way for us to be able to allow to do that, because we have clients that use you guys and we're able to do that. So there has to be some connection there that it's making.
Well, there's a connection between us and Seller Central, if that's what you're referring to.
I mean, you guys have that connection between Seller Central, like our software has that connection to Seller Central.
Right, exactly. We talk through the API just like you probably do. So we send information, box content information, everything through the API up to Amazon.
I'm wondering what would be the opportunity, Bill, to list all the items to a batch, close the batch, and export? Because John, you're kind of asking how can they get the M SKUs that they're listing from InventoryLab to you? Is that correct?
Yeah, and he kind of answered that in a way, I think, by saying you guys are going through Seller Central, which is through the API, and then once you go through that, it's automatically going to tell it. My software is going to be able to pick that up.
I got you.
That you guys created in InventoryLab, and then it's going to pull it forward with all the information that we need from that point forward. So it sounds like that you guys are going through Seller Central. For anybody that's on this call, our software picks it up from that end. So it's kind of working together, and I guess my question is, if you were doing large quantity items through InventoryLab, it would probably be the same thing. We would just pick it up through the API as a flat file.
Right. I mean, regardless of how many items it is, you're right. You just do it the same way.
Yeah, it'd be like a flat file. Is kind of what I'm thinking. Well, I'm not seeing any. I see people on here, but I don't see anybody wanting to ask any questions. So,
maybe they all use InventoryLab and they know all about it.
I'm just saying, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. They do use them. I mean, you guys have quite a base, and I can tell just by what comes into our building of all the InventoryLab people, and then I can tell, by the ones that we refer to you guys. So I think it's what you guys are doing. Tell me, I'm not going to hold you guys all night here because I don't want to do that, and it's that chat thing is kind of not working, which is aggravating me enough. So I'm watching the chat over here, but I'm not seeing anything. I can still get the chat. It's usually on the side of me, but I just can't see it the way I normally do. What's coming up for InventoryLab 2017? What are some of the things, if you want to share? You don't have to, but if you want to share some of the things that are on the horizon. Is InventoryLab going to adapt to what the market is telling us? And that Amazon, it seems like Amazon, at some point in time, is probably going to go away from third-party fulfillment. And wanting to do that on a permanent basis based on their numbers that have dropped, their percentages have dropped over last year, and they're basically saying that they don't need it, and they just got to find a way to, they don't like things that don't work, that make them more profitable. And right now, third-party filling for eBay and filling for Sears and Walmart and Jet is not a profitable venture for them. So it seems like in the future here, and it may be near future, Amazon, maybe after fourth quarter even, Amazon is going to start to say, we're not going to third-party fulfill anymore for those platforms. So having said that, that's why I built the software I did to be able to fulfill for those platforms, because I could kind of see that writing on the wall. We were all looking that way. Jim Corcoran, all of us, we're all looking that way and kind of seeing that writing. Where is InventoryLab heading? Are they heading in that direction? I mean, are there some kind of secrets or maybe that you do want to share, maybe you don't want to share as far as other platforms? Because I think right now, as far as I know, you guys only do Amazon, correct?
That's correct. And supporting, we're very aware people are diversifying. Diversifying is smart, and I think it's necessary. It has been part of our roadmap, whether it be long-term roadmap or short-term, I couldn't say. I won't say. But we do have the ability to capture expenses and income within InventoryLab. So we have a lot of folks that are using and selling on multiple platforms, and they're able to capture that data. And again, all of that still is going to feed into that same profit and loss report. So they're able to, folks get really creative too with the way that they use it. Everybody's businesses are so unique, so creative, and so innovative. They really utilize reports and suppliers and how they name suppliers to identify different hallmarks. It's really fascinating how creative they really are. But there is an opportunity to use InventoryLab. Actually, Bill and I have been talking about doing a webinar about exactly that. We met some great people from a well-known eBay-focused podcast when we were in Chicago pretty recently for Ecom Chicago. And so we're hoping to talk with them soon. And they really want to start talking a little bit more about how eBay folks can also use InventoryLab to capture expenses and sales.
Yeah, I would clarify one thing. When we say capture the sales, we don't mean automatically. As far as like for eBay or whatever, you have to enter those manually. We do capture Amazon fees though automatically.
Right, and that's what I was saying. Are you guys at some point in time, is that like a future plan of going through like eBay's API or going through Shopify's API or Jet's API or any of those other platforms? Are you guys looking down that road of what we're all seeing? Amazon is not going to, at some point in time, it's just a matter of time, they're not going to fulfill for third-party sellers. I mean, as far as third-party platforms, they don't want to fulfill for eBay. They don't want to fulfill for Jet and all those companies because, first of all, it's not profitable for them.
Yeah, it is part of our long-term roadmap. I can say that. I can't really kind of speak any more to it other than that, but I can say it is an ongoing conversation and it is part of our long-term roadmap for sure.
No, according to what John's saying, he might be saving us some work.
Yeah, John.
Well, I'm just trying to, it's out there. I mean, it's all over the place, and some good inside people in the Amazon industry that I know and that, in that realm, in that circle, are all, seeing Amazon almost not pushing that panic button, but pushing the button where it's their sandlot, we play in it, and if it's not profitable for them, they don't need to do it. They'll just go in a different direction. I mean, it's the same type of thing what they did with branded product. I mean, they came out in fourth quarter and said, okay, listen, you got to spend $1,500 now and get these letters, and we'll let you sell the brand. Everybody saw that coming. When you had all these platforms out there that were having where you can buy, you can pay to get in an unrestricted category. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden you see now Amazon, if you watched it, what happened is, you were restricted in clothing, restricted in all these things, and then there was these groups that started forming where now that you pay a certain amount of money, we can get you unrestricted. Well, Amazon wasn't, blind to that. They saw all that happening, and then they started opening up their doors and not charging you anything. But then they also looked at it and probably said, hey, listen, because of this brand restriction, this is a great time for us to say, hey, listen, if you want to be in these brands, you're going to pay $500, you're going to pay $1,000, you're going to pay that. It was a great way for them to get in the door that they were already pushing to anyway. Everybody saw that coming. It was going to be a cost brand thing anyway at some point in time. It just made it easier for them when all these places decided to have people get charged for to get you in unrestricted categories. So it's just interesting how their platform just keeps evolving, and they seem to always make these changes around fourth quarter. They don't do them in March and April. They do them in fourth quarter. So it is real interesting. What's coming up that you do want to share maybe on the horizon for the people that listen to this or get on the replay of this? What's coming up that you feel is something that you can share? Because you know what? You're probably like me. You don't want to share anything. You don't want to let the cat out of the bag until it's there. Like we have this big announcement that we're going to be making, that we're going to be doing, and a push that we've been working on for a while. And
what's that about?
We don't want to tell right now. Well, I kind of gave you some information about it. It has to do with Jim. It has to do with being able to utilize, instead of our one fulfillment center, multiple hundreds of fulfillment centers, and just something that we've been working on and wanting to do for a while, because I think the other thing is there has to be something out there that helps us compete with Amazon as far as on the third-party levels platform as well, where you have strategic warehouses in different areas so that you can get those better shipping rates. Because if you can do something and put them strategically in the places that they need to be, you can get Amazon's FBA shipping rates. They'll give them to you if you can get it shipped in 2 days. But how do you do that? You got to strategically have these places around, and we've been working on that for a while. Working on a different platform like Amazon with some big people. So that's just down the road though. But we've been entertaining, saying, you know what, with Amazon, let's have a bunch of sellers be like a co-op buying group, and and try to go out there and build our own platform. So there's a lot of different things that are in the works there, and Jim's part of that too. There's a lot of different things that are out there that are going to be happening going forward, and there's probably going to be another, big player coming here in 2017, 2018, because, and what you're talking about too, Bill, about eBay is correct. When Amazon did this brand restriction stuff like that, they opened up the doors again for eBay, because eBay is now, there's a lot more sellers that are selling on eBay this fourth quarter than it has been in the past because of that. Because people are panicking, and they're panicking and want to jump ship, which you shouldn't do. You don't want to jump ship. You just want to diversify, and that's what your software and our fulfillment center allows them to do, is help them diversify and take that load off of them, where they only got to go find product. They find product, list it through you guys, send it to us, and it's done.
There you go.
Or someone like us.
It's that simple.
So does InventoryLab, do I have to actually go to another e-com to find out what's going on with InventoryLab?
Well, we included with the box content update, we've added a handful of features really recently. So when box content came out, we also now have Amazon errors that are showing. So as you know, working with the API, you send feeds at a certain time, and our developers kind of got in there and figured out how we could learn if there was an error that was going to come back, whether it was going to be a brand restriction or category restriction. So our folks are knowing about that as they're listing, hopefully before that inventory gets out the door.
Yeah, I could see you. You froze on me for a second.
Oh. So the Amazon errors, that was built in as well. We also built in an Amazon restriction tool into the Scoutify mobile app and into the Scout web-based application as well, so folks can kind of take a look and make sure that they're not restricted before they start investing in inventory. But we do have a lot of things that we're working on. Like I said, we are currently really excited to be working on the FNSKU barcode scanning capability. To be able to scan boxes and box content in, I think is really, I'm really excited about that. I think that's going to really increase efficiency for folks that do have barcode scanners. And I do what we can speak to in the future. You're our quality assurance analyst.
I'll tell you, probably one of the biggest things I can say is that we are refining the way that we present errors to Amazon errors to our customers. So that's something you can look forward to. Those things that Amazon sends back that are pretty cryptic, well, we've found some ways to decrypt them and make them a little more intelligent so that our customers know what they need to do when a certain error comes back. That's about as much as I can release.
Well, I think the restriction thing that you guys added that you just told me about, that's huge. And you should be advertising that all over and tell the sellers, because that is a big panic button for a lot of sellers right now. I see that as not only as an Amazon seller, but I have a network that buys from me. And I can see that panic mode where they don't want to buy those large quantities because they're afraid, even if they're not restricted now. At any given time, if it's a brand name product, Amazon could just come in after it gets to the warehouse. It's been there a month. Amazon can say, we no longer, we restrict that item now, and tell yourself, the fact that you're having that heads up ability to say, hey, listen. So now what they can do is they can scan my list of products that I have that I'm selling with your type of capabilities through their system, through your system, and they'll know right away whether or not at that point in time it's restricted. So I think that's huge.
Right.
I think that's huge. It's a huge thing for a lot of sellers, and I think a lot of sellers, like I said, have panicked. And I've even gotten, I've had people tell me, customers tell me, and clients tell me that we're not selling on Amazon anymore. They're restricting brand products. No, they're not. They're restricting certain brand products, but not all brand products. But I think they just push that panic button, and you coming up with this tool to help them relieve some of that pressure and tension.
Yeah, that 30-day free trial, people have Scoutify is of course included. That's the mobile-based scouting tool. They have the ability to put that on their mobile device, but we always like to remind people that they can put Scoutify on multiple mobile devices, unlimited. So this is people to really kind of grow their sourcing team. If they have friends, family, employees, if they don't have employees yet, get some. They can add them as a sub account, so they only have access to Scoutify, get them out and grow that team. So that's included in that 30-day free trial also. So we really like to see people use that period of time and really get a lot out of Scoutify and then experience the power of it. Built into that app, it is that Amazon restrictions tool, but also is Camel, Keepa, Prime Comparison, eBay, Google. All of those are integrated into Scoutify.
Okay. Another question I have other than Scoutify, someone that's using InventoryLab, what if they all want them to have access to InventoryLab? Are they able to have access on more than one computer for their membership, or do they have to buy a membership for each computer?
They can log in from any computer. It's a web-based application. It's not downloaded software. So they're able to log in from any laptop, desktop computer, go on vacation, log into it at the library, the beach, whatever you want.
Right.
So
and
more
with
than
the added sub-accounts, you can actually have 3 people working at the same time.
That's what I was just going to ask. With the and that's something new that you guys just did, right? The sub accounts.
Yeah. Well, we had one sub-account in the beginning, but then we've added a second, so that you can now scan 2 different batches, use different MSQs, all
have
that.
Different printers.
Right.
That was a big deal. The different printers too. Yeah.
Yep. Different.
So you
printers.
can allow, yeah, and that's huge, because now you don't just have one person tying up the what they're doing on InventoryLab. You can have somebody else doing a different part of InventoryLab with a different batch, which is kind of huge. It kind of helps take in really outsource or actually diversify and give them, so they can get more done in the same amount of time with just another person. So that's huge too. That's a nice feature. I didn't know that you guys did that. John doesn't tell me these things. I just know that we go into InventoryLab and do what we need to do, and that's it. And I didn't know about the subcategories or anything like that. So that's a huge feature. And the other one with the restriction, I think, is a huge feature too. So even though you guys didn't think we can go an hour, we're almost an hour here going in here. And I was surprised that, like you said, Lab, I don't see any questions in the chat. I'm really surprised. There's usually lighting up the chat with questions. Or the other part is they use InventoryLab. They don't want to hear about the fulfillment centers.
Yeah.
They just want to do it themselves or whatever. I don't know. I don't know the rhyme or reason behind that. But
I'll tell you though, fulfillment centers are where it's at. I mean, if you're doing a couple of hundred items a week, that's what my limit was anyway. When I hit 200, I had to start having it shipped to the fulfillment center, because I couldn't handle it anymore. It was just me. I didn't go for the employee part because I was other things I have going on in my life. But at that point, it was ship it to the fulfillment center, let them take care of it, and it worked. And I was still making money at it, so it was just a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, you can only do so much as one person anyway. I mean, you can appreciate the fact if you were doing it, and I don't know if you were doing retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, or what phase you were doing, but if you were doing those things, you certainly know bringing them home and taking stickers off and things like that is a lot of work. And you don't want to be doing that. You want to be able to outsource those things to a fulfillment center, handle that, so that all you want to do, basically any seller, if you've got a mom and a pop that are working together, or even a single mom or single dad that works and he don't have time for this business, he really does. All he's got to do is train a VA, teach them how to go and find the products online or wholesalers, and get those products, send them to a prep center, and let the prep center do all the work. He has to be able to make sure that he's the one coordinating with the VA on what needs to be done. And then once you do that, you say, well, this one VA can only do this much. I'll get a second VA. 10, 15, 20 VAs. It blows my mind how many people they have working for them. And they're actually living in like a 1-bedroom condo where there's no room to put product in the house, but yet they're making these massive 6- and 7-figure incomes while they're still working. And the bottom line is they're still working. They enjoy doing what they're doing, but they don't want to quit.
Yeah, I'll tell you I'll tell you a funny story. My wife and I full-timed in our camper. We had a fifth wheel. So we full-timed for about 2.5 years. And we spent a year doing Amazon while we were full-timing. And believe it or not, in that little, I don't even know how many square foot it was a 40-foot fifth wheel. We were selling 10 grand a month out of that fifth wheel. It was weird.
Yeah, I don't know if you know Jamie and Larissa Morales. Do you know them?
No.
They actually do that. They live in an RV, and that's all they do. And they make high six-figure income.
You just did an interview with him, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, did you see that interview? I mean,
I did.
They're living out in an RV, and then I just did one with Mr. Watt too. And Mr. Watt, the same thing, living, doing it from an RV. I mean, they actually have a Facebook group that's an RV Amazon group where they're all RVers, and it's just amazing, like what you said. It just blows my mind, just the opportunities that are out there that people don't understand. And I know that those people probably also use InventoryLab because it would make sense to do it.
That link, the colleague that we were in Chicago with, Jeff, his wife and himself just started their adventure, living full-time on the road in their RV. And when I saw your video, I was like, oh my gosh, Jeff, you have to see this. I can't believe the coincidence. So if you can, send me that link and I'll pass that along to him. I'm sure they'd be happy to be a part of that Facebook group.
Yeah, I'll send you that link. It's just amazing that they actually have a group that's actually, RV group. That's what they do. And there's others besides Jamie and Larissa and Mr. Watt. There's just a lot of them in that group that just, when you look at the stories and you think of the commitment and just to be able to do it from an RV. Now, being able to travel, that's great. Doing it out in an RV and living out, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could sit there and live in a small quarters thing like that. But
it's
working and making huge money. And like I said, I bet you a good percentage of them, because they do outsource, they have VAs and things like that, and people that shop for them and stuff like that too. I bet you a good percent of them use like InventoryLab, because it would make sense. It's an outsourcing thing. It's taking away a process that easier for them and allows them to see the accountabilities of their expenses. So, I mean, to me, that would be huge.
Yep.
That would be a really great webinar for us to do, Bill. We need to find an InventoryLab customer that's currently on the Nomad Adventure. That'd be great. I'd love to do that. If any of your listeners are currently in an RV using InventoryLab,
bring back memories of,
let us know.
Walmart and Target bags on my living room floor in my RV.
I'll tell you what, I'll go into that group and I'll post something for you too. I'll say InventoryLab's currently looking to interview someone that's using InventoryLab that is on the road living in an RV.
Oh, that would be great.
I'll put that up.
Thank you. I'll let you know if we get any hits for that. Thank you.
I bet you will. I bet you I'll get a response. I'll tell them to email me, and then what I'll do is I'll forward that email
Fingers
over
crossed.
to you guys. Can handle that, and that would be fun. I think that would be fun to, and that's a kind of testimonial saying, hey, listen, you can live out in an RV and use InventoryLab, or you can use Scoutify from an RV. It's amazing the opportunities that are affordable in the last 10 years. I mean, just amazing what's out there and the tools that are available. And I think the one thing we'll say in closing to the people that are here is that, utilize those tools. I guess the biggest thing that you can do to help grow your business is when you do have InventoryLab and you do have people like Kimberly and Bill, utilize them. Utilize the capabilities of what they can do for you to help grow your business. Get those tools. Find out your finances. Make sure that you know your profit and loss. Because there's a lot of sellers out there that can say they're doing $1 million a year, but okay, that's $1 million in sales. But without using InventoryLab's type tools, what is their profit? What are they making? You know what? Anybody can go out and write a book and write a course and say I'm $1 million seller. $1 million seller that's profitable. And I think that's the thing that we have to look at. And I think that's the thing that people have to, understand. With InventoryLab, you can be a $500,000 seller and maybe make 20%, where you could be $1 million seller that's not using them and not know your numbers and only be making 8% or 6% or 5%.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to have tools. I always believe in the right tools to run your business. You need to have those tools. Like Bill said, it became a no-brainer for him. I mean, heck, Bill didn't even use it. He not only used the tools, he joined the company. I mean, that's.
I wish I could have bought the company.
His testimonial to anything is that here's somebody that actually said it was a no-brainer to use the tools, and then somehow he ends up working for InventoryLab. So I mean, that's a huge testimonial to Ryan and what Ryan's been able to develop over there.
Yeah, I want one shout out I'd like to do for our customer champions. A really good bunch of people. They really do a lot of good work, help our customers along really, really well.
Shout for those champions. Usually when I close these things, we're running about an hour, which is kind of, again, shocking to me because we just had a Q&A and basically just had fun going back and forth with what you guys do and what I do, and that's okay too, because people will still get value from this webinar based on what you were talking about and what I was talking about, and hopefully, you know, the bottom line is that we can talk till we're blue in the face. I can do it, you can do it, but without taking action and putting those things into place, it's really just merely talk. And we don't want this to be talk. We don't want this webinar to be just talk. We want you guys to take action and put those things in place to help be successful. Kimberly, Bill, myself, appreciate you being here on a Thursday night. We know that there's a lot of places that you could be, but we appreciate you taking the time out to come and listen to this webinar and learn some things, but you must take action. You must put things in place, and without those things, it's going to be harder for you. Not that you can't succeed, but it's going to be a harder road for you to succeed. It's out there now that just make it a lot easier, and the people in place that put these tools out there that are willing to help you grow your business. As always, I say God bless, and you guys have a good night. On my next webinars, and Kimberly and Bill, I always give my guests the last word. I want to give you guys the last word, and I also want you to give you the last chance to let people know how they can reach you guys more.
Sure, they can send us an email or actually head to our support portal, support.inventorylab.com, open up a ticket to reach our folks, or just email us at support@inventorylab.com. Let them know that you saw the webinar and say that, hey, I have a question for Bill or for Kim, and they will get that to us. We do a lot of work, but we're a small team, so it's not hard to get to us. Join one of our webinars. We're doing them, like I said, several times per month. So just be able to take a look at the entire application before you even start a free trial. We're just really excited to be a part of this community. We're Amazon sellers, like what John was talking about, and just that drive to be running a business from an RV, really is commitment and the adventure of it. I'm not surprised that those two worlds come together. That really speaks to the spirit of the people that are Amazon sellers in e-commerce. So we're really excited. And finish up, Bill.
You're going to give me the last word? Anyway, I just want to say that I really, really enjoyed this show. I was a little apprehensive at first. I'm kind of a camera shy person, but anyway, I enjoyed it. John, appreciate what you do and appreciate what you do with us. We appreciate that for sure. And just go out there and buy stuff and list it with InventoryLab. That's all I can tell you. It's a wonderful program. I love it. I use it. I help work on it. So just do it all and have a good night.
I think I'm going to take the last word. The last word I want to say is, because I really want to see this challenge come true. If anybody's out there that's in an RV living and is using InventoryLab, PM me on Facebook. Get in touch with InventoryLab. Whatever you need to do. We want to do InventoryLab wants to do a webinar with you. They want to find out what it's like and to be in an RV and using InventoryLab, their tool that they specialize in that helps you make you better at what you do and grow your business. That's the last word I want to say. I'm going to put it out there as a challenge to see who's out there that's going to listen to this, that's going to respond to that, so that we can do this webinar. I think that would be an awesome, fun webinar.
Me too. I'm pretty excited.
And I would sign up. All right, guys. God bless you. Have a good night. It's been a real pleasure.
You too. Thanks, John.
Appreciate it. Thanks, John.
Bye.